All right, today I'm going to show you how to write a SQL to conduct a statistical test within SQL. So for example, let's say there are two groups for here. So this is direct and PPC. So this is two different channels from which customers are acquired. So I have a table called customers table. It looks something like this. So select star from test data to dot customers limit 10. If you run this, so it shows basically where our customers are acquired from. There's a customer ID, sign up when did they sign up for the product, and which channel they have signed up. So there are multiple channels. So we want to know the difference between direct channel and PPC channel in terms of their average actions that has been taken. So average actions is coming from another table. So this is test data to the usage limit 10. Okay, it just gets confused. Okay, so this is a customer ID, event date, when the action was taken, and the type of action they took, and how many actions they took using for that date and for that action type. So we are interested in to know the difference in average actions taken by customer between the direct and PPC channel. So basically, customer that came from direct channel, they did some actions, and what is the average action that group of customer took compared to customers that came from PPC channel. They took some actions over time, and we want to compare the average in that group with the direct channel. So we want to compare that, and then we want to perform a statistical test to see whether the difference between these two groups is significant or not. Now, I know a lot of us use statistical software to do that, but today I'm going to show you how to conduct the test using SQL. So let's get started. So first, we need to measure average actions. So average actions is basically, so this is the action type. The only action over here is the usage count, is the average total actions. So we can say total actions as select. So for each customer, we're gonna sum the usage count and call it as total act from test data to dot usage, and this is grouped by 1. So now for each customer, we're going to get the total actions they took over time. So that's the aggregate. Now we need to find which channel this customer belonged to, because we need to group by, right? Because that was the question. So what we can do is we can create another CTE, action and channel, and we're gonna basically use total actions and join it with the customers table. So select. So what are the columns that we need? We need the channel. We need total. We need the. So I'm gonna come to like what we need later. So let's first join it. So customers C, and then we're going to do a left join because some customers might not take any action, and then total action as T on C dot customer ID, and then T dot customer ID. So let's look at this data and see how does it look like. Action channel. Oh, mind you, we are only interested in two channel that is specific to that. So I'll do a limit of 50. 50 rows, give me 50 rows. Customers, customer ID. Oh, I have not qualified it. So test data 2. So here is what it just looks like. So basically for each customer sign up date, we know that what channel they came from. We are getting the total number of actions that they took. So PPC, we know, this many customers were there, and they took different actions. So now we are interested in only direct and PPC. So we can just filter this channel in direct and PPC. So we get PPC again. No worries. So this is what we have so far. So right now my job is to compare direct and PPC separately, right? So what we can do is first of all, what are we trying to compare? So average actions taken by customer. So we need to calculate that metric. So average of which column? Total act. So total act is average actions, and then we're gonna have the channel, and then we need to do a group by 1. So channel is coming from C, so average actions per channel. So let's see. So that's what we have. So now the question is, measure whether the difference is significant. So is the difference significant or not? So how would you going to measure it? So we can perform a comparing two group means. So that's one way to do it, and the formula for that is over here. So this is two independent means formula, because we're assuming direct and the other channel that we have, SEO, is independent. So the standard error calculation is square of standard deviation of first group squared standard deviation of second group divided by the number of samples in each group. So S over here is standard deviation. So that's how we're gonna calculate the standard error, because the standard error will give us the distribution of the probability, the test statistic. Because this standard error divided by, we will divide this difference by the standard error, if you remember how to get that test statistic formula. So let's see how can we do that. So one way to do it is basically we need to compare PPC, and then we can do a cross join. We're going to do a self join with this, the same. Why? Because I want this table to be flattened out, because we're going to compare. Basically, you can do a pivot or you can do a cross join. So I'm going to just do a cross join over here because it's easier for me. So now I have done a cross join. You can sometimes its shorthand is just use a comma, you'll get the same result. So I just use a comma. So that's a cross join. So now we need the first one. We're interested in the first one is we're gonna filter the first table, channel as direct. So now there is duplicates over here, so that's what I'm trying to remove. And then we're going to also filter this channel as PPC. Actually, it's the opposite. It's D, and this is PPC. Now we're going to remove the duplicates. Oops, sorry. So now it's flattened out, and we have removed the duplicates. Now it's easier for us to calculate the test statistics. So what is the test statistic? So we need this difference, the difference between the mean. So let's calculate that first. So P dot average actions and D dot average actions as difference. So that's the first one. The next one, what we want is the square of standard error and the count for each group. So standard deviation. So over here, we need to add that metric. So there is a standard deviation function, and you can add that, call that directly on total action. So basically this is your standard dev. So now you have standard dev, and then we need the sample size. So you can do a count distinct c dot customer ID as your samples, right? So now you have standard deviation and samples. So we need the square of the standard deviation. So you can use this. There's an inbuilt function called power exponent. So where you just input the expression and raise to the power of 2, because that's square. We want the square, and then you can write it as p, and then we need to like divide it by the samples. So we're going to divide it by a sample of p, which is ppc, and then we're going to do the same for the direct. Okay, so we basically just wrote this part. Now we have to add a square root. So to add a square root, we're going to use the inbuilt function square root, and then we're going to call it as standard error. So let's run it and check. Hopefully it runs. It did. It did. So now we're going to call this as group stats. Group stats. We're going to create this as CTE just for clarity. And then we can now calculate the t statistic from this. So the t statistic is the difference, and then we're going to divide it by the standard error, right? So that's a t statistic. So now we know. So let's see what does t statistic mean. So generally, like, you know, it's if the t statistic is more than 2, it means there's a 0.25% chance. So if it's a two-tailed test, meaning like either way, like, you know, if the group is like, if the group, like, if this difference that I have taken, either it's a positive value or negative value, so it's two ways. It can go two ways. So so each side is like we are considering the two tails of this mean difference, the distribution of this chart. So this is and the area under this, like, you know, chart of at 1.7 is 0.25, meaning like there's a 2, and you can add it up because it's two side. So it's like 5% chance of seeing the difference given there is no difference if the value is 1.7. But our value over here is 3, which is way over here, which is like 2, probably somewhere here. So then the probability of, like, you know, seeing this difference as a chance is much lower, right? So we can say case when this is greater than 2, then significant, else not significant. and as test statistic. Let's see. So it should give us this test is significant. So difference between these two groups is significant. Now you have just conducted a significant test using SQL. I hope this was helpful. And if you like this video, just give it a thumbs up or leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much.